Welcome back everyone. Today we'll be doing October-November from year 2021, the set 22 here. So before we start the papers, we'd like to inform you that if you're interested to join our group class, okay, details is in the description. Okay, you can fill up the form. Okay, make sure you put in your country code for your phone number, and I will reach out to you as soon as possible with the information. So without further ado, let's get started with our paper here. So this question 1, they're asking us about temperature at midnight is negative 8.5 Celsius, and temperature in 11 a.m. is negative 1 Celsius. So they ask us for the difference between the temperature. So things that I would point out will be, okay, if you're unfamiliar with this type of topics, it's best you write the 0 down, and then you have negative 8.5 here, and then you have negative 1 here. So they wanted you to find the gaps from negative 1 to negative 8.5. So to get to it, I will actually take negative 1 minuses off with negative 8.5. Okay, by putting minus because I wanted to identify the difference here. So negative 1 minus negative 8.5, you get your results as 7.5 as the difference in terms of Celsius here. Moving on to question 2, we have stand and lift diagram. They asked us to find the model H here. So by looking from the graph, okay, you will know that 41 repeated twice. Okay, so your answers for this question will immediately be assigned as 41. For the median age, however, okay, you have to practice this by taking one from the smaller part and one from the largest part. Okay, cut them off accordingly and then slowly getting to the center. So one from the small, one from the big, repeat until the end. You will get your final answer for this as 43. Okay, for the third part here, the percentage of women that are older than 51 years old. Okay, so if you look from the list, okay, older than 41, there was approximately 3 of them only. So by taking 3 divided with 15 and multiplied by 100, okay, you will get your final results as 20%. Okay. In section 3, change 2.15 hours into minutes. Okay. First thing first, you need to know 2 hours is already in hours form. You don't have to convert that anymore. Okay, so this will automatically be 60 minutes each. So 2 times 60, you will get to 120 minutes. Okay, areas that you should be focusing on is to convert the 0.15 hours into minutes. So 0.15, you separate it out, multiply it by 60. Okay, you get your answers as 9. So the total here will be 129 minutes. So far so good, pretty easy. Moving on to question 4, we have a question here. Okay, so the key information or key details that we'll identify from this question here will be the hint on isosceles triangle. So this tells us that here will also be 58 degrees, and then for the center sections here, you have to take 180 minus 58 minus 58. So from this process, okay, you will get your final answer of the center section as 64. With this 64 here, we'll be able to identify the balance from this part by taking 86 minus 64, you get it as 22. Okay, so lastly with this 22 here, okay, we also know that this part will be x since it's an isosceles triangle. So 2x plus 22 equals 180. 180 minus 22 and divide the results by 2, you will get your answers as 79. So that's it for question 4 here. Moving on to question 5, Angelique rents a room for a party. The cost of renting the room is $15.50 for the first hour, then $7.25 for each additional hours. So keyword here is that for the first hour, they charge us a fixed cost, which is $15.50. So regardless of how many hours you rent, the moment you step into the room, you have to pay $15.50 here. So the numbers of hours, we are unsure about it, so we are required to identify it. So I set it as H here. Meanwhile, we have a balance of 95.25. So to get your calculation done, okay, we will take 95.25, okay, minus it off with 15.50 first. Okay, so you get 7.25 hours. Okay, equals to 79.75. Divide this with 7.25, you will get the amount of hours as 11 at the end. So that's how you identify the hours here. Okay, but normally students will stop here and then fill up the 11. So this is the part where they catch you here. Okay, please remember we actually rented 1 hour extra for the moment we step into the room. So any hours, the H here that we identify is the additional hours after that. So to get to your final answer, just take 11 plus 1, then you get your answers. Okay, so that's how you secure the marks for section 5 here. Moving on, question 6, pretty straightforward. Okay, some basic calculation are required here. Okay, I will sort out the multiplication part by having this. You have balance of 2 over 7 plus 1 over 5. Make them into the same denominator. Then you will get your final answers here. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10, and then 7. So the final answer will be 17 over 35. Okay, you can always key in your calculator to check whether your answer is correct. Okay, see whether they can be further simplified or not. And also I will double check, like keying everything into the calculator. One last time to double check everything that I did. Okay, so it's correct, it matches up. So we can move on to question 7. Moving on to question 7, Katie has 5 white flowers, X red flowers, and 2 plus 1 yellow flowers. She picked the flowers at random, and then the probability of it being white is 1 over 12. So first thing first, we know exactly how many white flowers were there. There was only 5 of them. And then for the denominator here, to identify probability, you need to include all the types of flowers here. So that will cover 5, that will cover our X, which is the red flowers here, and also the 2x plus 1, our yellow flower. So make it into 1 over 12. Okay, you have a balance of 6 plus 3x equals to 1 over 12. Okay, cross multiply it, then you will get to your answers. Okay, you got 6 plus 3x equals to 15 times 12. 5 times 12 here, sorry. Okay, get to 60. 3x will be 54. 54 divided by 3. Okay, you will get your answers as 18. Okay, so ultimately they are not asking us to identify 18 here. They wanted us to find the probability of yellow flowers. So to get to yellow flowers, it is actually 2x plus 1. And the denominator of it, from what we identified, it was 6 plus 3x. So we have to update the x that we identified. So we have 2 times 18 plus 1 at the numerator sections. And then for your denominator, we have 3 times 18. So when you summarize everything, okay, you will get to your final answers of 37/60 as your final answer. Okay, so for question 8, all you have to do is to update the roots according to what they wanted. So they wanted root of 4, and then for the values inside, it's actually 39. Okay, this one looks like a mixed number, so I put in 39, 1/16. Okay, so through this, I will get my answers as 5/2. So the arrangement of it is slightly weird. Okay, if they were to key into the calculator, okay, they should make the 1/16 bigger, else it will create unnecessary confusions here. So we get it as 5/2, which you can write it as 2.5 if you want it. Okay, both should be acceptable here. Moving on to question 9. Okay, from the smallest to the largest, this dot at the top tells us that the 2, 2, 2, 2, it was repeating unlimitedly. So 22% when you key in your calculator, you get 0.22. Square root 0.2, you get your results as 0.447. Okay, 24/1000, you will get it as 0.024. Meanwhile, for the one at the front, 2.1 times 10 to the power of -1. This, you will get it as 0.21. So from the smallest here, we will have 24/1000, followed by the next. Okay, who else is smallest here? It will be 2.1 times 10 to the power of -1. Okay, followed by 22%, followed by 0.2 with a dot at the top, and then lastly we have square roots of 0.2. So this is how you sum up all the calculation here. Okay, moving on to question 10. The interior angles of a regular polygon is 156. Okay, so find the numbers of sides of this polygon. We'll be using our formula here that goes by 180 times n minus 2. After being divided by n, okay, you will get to 156. The process of dividing n here is to tell them regular. Regular means all of the sides here are the same. So you can divide it and identify your results. So 180n minus 360 equals 156n. Finalize the calculation. You get 24n, okay, equals 360. So 360 divided by 24, you get your results as 15 here. Okay, that's for our question 10. Moving on to question 11. A car starts its journeys by accelerating from the rest at a constant rate of 0.7. So this part here is actually trying to tell us the first line that they draw here. Okay, so how do you check? Okay, you can actually take our 14 divided by 20, you will get to 0.7 if not mistaken. 14 divided by 20, 0.7, correct. So from here onwards, all you have to do is to check for the next part. Okay, before reaching at a constant speed of 14 meters per second, okay, traveled for 210 meters. So we have to find how long they stayed to travel this. So we have the speed, we have the distance, all we have to find is the time. So I'll be taking time equals to distance over speed. So 210 divided by 14, you get the results as 15 seconds. So for this 15 seconds here, you must make sure that from this 20 seconds, we went past 15 seconds, which is we arrived at 35. 35 is here. Okay, so we're done with this part. Then lastly, they mention the terms deaccelerate. So from these coordinates here, we will have 35 and 14. Okay, we are dealing with 35 and 14 here. Okay, and then for it to reach the stop means that it's no longer moving at all. The speed will be automatically 0. So we are required to track what was the time where it arrived at 0 here. Okay, and the terms deaccelerate, okay, tells us that it will be negative 1.4 here. So you can put in negative 1.4, okay, run your formula, 0 minus 14, and then unknown minus 35. Okay, so to find your answers, I will write my negative 1.4 to here. Okay, swap it up. So you can key in negative 14 over negative 1.4. Okay, you get 10 here. 10 plus 35 equals to your unknown. So your final answer here will be 45. So let's bring it up, connect it, then you should be able to get your final answer here. Okay, so this is how the overall graph would look like if I were to run the calculation. Okay. Moving on to question 12, we have our sequences question here. So from sequence A, okay, it was from 8 to 3 to negative 2. So from this, I know that during each process, it will minus by 5. Okay, if the changes is constant, means that it's an arithmetic sequence. So immediately I can put in negative 5 pairing up with an n here. Okay, and to complete our calculation, I have to identify the 0 terms, which is by going to a different direction from the first numbers that they gave us, which I will add 5 into it. So 8 plus 5, you will get your answers as 13. So I will fill up 13 minus 5n as my final results here. Okay, for sequence B, however, okay, it looks like a trap here because for the whole numbers of 2 at the front, you can write it as 2 over 1. Because any whole numbers, we have a denominator of 1 here. Then it becomes 3, 2, then it becomes 4, 3, then it becomes 5, 4. Okay, so for every time it shifts, okay, the numerator increased by 1. Same goes to the denominator here. So this would tell us that the changes is both plus n, plus 1n. Okay, but you don't have to write. You don't have to write the 1 here. So moving on, we have to go through a different direction, which is to find out what was the previous part. So by taking 2 minus 1, you will get to 1. So the top part will be 1 plus n. Meanwhile, for the denominator here, when we minus 1, you get to 0. So you don't have to write 0, which means instead of writing plus n over here, I would just erase the plus and keep my answers as 1 plus n over n. Okay, it's quite tricky because you are required to change the the whole numbers here into fraction form before you proceed with your calculation. So for sequence C here, okay, so this is the one with they play around with the power. So 1 over 2 here can actually be converted into 2 to the power of negative 1. And then the 1 there is actually 2 to the power of 0. Then we have 2 to the power of 1 resulting in 2. 2 to the power of 2 resulting in 4. And 2 to the power of 3 resulting in 8. The next thing that I would take into reference is that this is when n equals to 1. This is when n equals to 2. This is when n equals to 3. And 4 and n 5. So the last part that I will compare them will be taking 1 and negative 1, taking 2 and 0, 3 and 1, 4 and 2, 5 and 3. I try to identify their connection here. So I can come to conclude that they share the same base, which is 2. But for the power section, okay, the n will always be minus by 2. Okay, because when you take 1 minus it by 2, it becomes negative 1. When you take 2 minus by 2, it becomes 0. So all of the following follow the same rules here. So that's how you secure the 5 marks. Okay. Sequence C are the harder sequence here, so you have to pay attention to it. Okay. Sometimes they will use 3 to the power of something. Sometimes they will use 4. So far, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the common ones that they assess you on. Okay. Pay attention to the details, then you should be able to solve it. Moving on to the next part, we are at question 13 now. Okay, halfway through the paper. They say 243 times 27 to the power of 2n as a single power of 3. So if not mistaken, 3 to the power of 5 here will becomes 243. So I change it up first. And then for 27, I think it's actually 3 to the power of 3. Okay, and then we have a 2n up at the top. Okay. So through this, we now know that they all have the same base, which is 3. And then for the 5, we can put it like this and add up the powers here. Kindly take note, the relationship between this 2 and 3 here are multiplied together. That's how we get to 6n. Okay, so for these answers here, it will becomes 5 plus 6n. If you wanted to write it the other way around, or you want to make it into 6n plus 5, it's fine, up to you. Okay, moving on to part B. K is 2 times 3 squared times p cubed, where p is prime numbers greater than 3. Okay, write 6k squared as a product of prime numbers in terms of p. So for this question here, they want us to find 6k first. 6k will be us multiplying another 2 and another 3 into it. Okay, and then if they happen to be a k square, okay, so I highlight for you and point out all the details. Over here, this is another 2 times 3. That's why from this 1, it becomes 2. From this 2, it becomes 3. If there's another k square, which means we are multiplying another set of 2, another set of 3 square, and another set of p cubed here. So with the existing that I have here, okay, I will write that I am required to multiply another 2 into it, another 3 square, and another p cubed. So this will result in 2 to the power of 3 at the end. Okay, because this 2 matches up. And this 2 matches up. I will have 3 to the power of 5 here. And then the last one, okay, will be P6. So this will be my final answer. Okay, for the 6 here, they are required to break it down into 2 times 3 so that everything is in the same arrangement. Okay, so that's all for 13b over here. Moving on to question 14. Okay, they ask us about x here. So x is very obvious. Okay, if you're familiar with the circle theorem rules, okay, you will know that this thing qualified as a alternate segment. Okay, so this one I can immediately tell it's 55 because it is alternate segment theorem. Okay, moving on to the next part. Okay, they ask us another tangent from point S touches the circle at V. Okay, give the geometrical reasons why triangle SVR is isosceles. So based on this statement that they gave us, they told us the ST line is already tangent to the circles. Okay, because of this, when you try to add anything or form another tangent from here all the way to the other side, okay, this distance here and this distance here will be the same. So you can mention that tangent line from SQ will be equals to line SR. Hence, they will form isosceles here. Okay, so that's how you answer your question 14b here. Okay, moving on. A is the point 316, B is the point 831. Find the equation of a line passes through point A and B and give your answers in the form of y equals to mx plus c. So for this, I have to identify our gradient first. That is by taking 31 minus 16, okay, then 8 minus 3. For those who don't know what's happening, this is by using y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. 31 minus 16. Okay, and then you have 8 minus 3 down here. You will get your gradient as 3. So you can now write down y equals to 3x plus c. And then you can sub in either one of the points. So in this case, I prefer to sub in the smaller one so that the entire process is easier. So I have 3 times 3 here plus c. So my c's final answer will be 7. Okay, because of 16 minus 9. When I throw the 3 times 3 away, it becomes 7. So your final answer here will be 3x plus 7. And then moving on to part B, the line CD has the equation of y equals to 0.5x plus 11. The gradient of that line is perpendicular to the line CD. Okay, so we only have to focus on the gradients that was given to us. Kindly take note, this we will consider it as M original. So according to the formulas in line chapters, we know that M original times M new, okay, it will becomes -1. So to get to the results, all you have to do is write M new equals to -1, divide with our 0.5 here. Okay, you will get your final answer as -2. So that's how you secure your marks for this particular question here. Okay, we are at the last 5 page. Okay, let's have a look at question 16. Sachin picks a numbers at random from the first 3 multiples of 3. Okay, so multiple of 3's 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6. That's why this results here will be 6. And then the first 3 prime numbers. So after 2 and 3, the next following prime numbers will be 5. Okay, with this, all you have to do is to add them up because they use this thing here. So 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. 3 plus 5 is 8. 6 plus 5 is 11. And then 14 here. Okay, with this, we have filled up all the results. And then given that the score is even, okay, find the probability that one of the numbers he picked is 9. Okay, I think I understand what they meant already. So from the list that we have here, remember this at the center here are all the parts that they gotten as the score. Okay, and then inside of this, how many even numbers is there? You identify it as 6, 8, 8, 12, and 14. So there will be 5 of them. And then inside this 5, okay, or among this 5 here, how many of them has 9? So for 9 here, we have 12 and 14. That's why it is 2 over 5. Okay, this is after a while of thinking, then I noticed it. Okay, in exam, if you panic, for sure you will lose this marks here. Okay, let me repeat again. Score is even means that you look at the score sections here. I circle the 5 circles there. That represents even number. Then for the numerator part, okay, those are the ones that is involve 9 basically. So we have 12 that has part of 9 and also 14 that was part of 9 here. Okay, moving on to question 17. Okay, very weird. They are giving you free scores here because they already done the factorization process for you. So all you have to do is just write it equals to 3, then x will be 3 over 5, followed by 2x equals to -7. and x equals to negative 7 over 2. Okay, so very weird question here indeed. Got no idea why they want to do this. Okay, question 18. Okay, things to take note is both sides here has y. Okay, so very good. Means you don't have to do any arrangement. So all you have to do is just proceed and run your calculation here. So with this, arrange all of them together, you will get 11x and 24. You can then key in your calculator. Okay, use your quadratic equation. Your a will be 1, your b will be negative 11, followed by 24. So through this, you will get x minus 3 and also x plus 8, x minus 8. So when your x is 3, okay, I will put it into y equals to 2 times 3 minus 3. 6 minus 3 will be 3. When x is 8, however, okay, 2 times 8 will be 16. 16 minus 3 will be 13. So the respective results goes by 3, 3 and 8, 13. Okay, that's how you get your full marks here for question 18. Okay. Moving on to the next part, we have shading Venn diagrams. So as per usual, I will draw this on the side for your illustration purpose. Okay, everything other than A will be implying this part. Okay, that I just shaded in black lines. Then everything other than B will be the one that I shaded in the red ones. Okay, things about this question right now is that they uses union, which means that every single lines, okay, as long as I draw it, then it will be considered as part of the answers. That's why for your final answer here, only the center part, okay, I will leave it empty. The rest, I will be shading them up. So this will be my answers here. And then moving on to the next part. Okay, they wanted us to find C union with D. Okay, C union with D will look something like this. Okay, and then intersected with everything other than E, which means they are implying this part here. So only those who have reds and blue will now be shaded. So this will be my final answer because these are the parts where the blue lines, the red lines and black lines that I shaded overlapped. Okay, that's how you complete this Venn diagram question here. Okay, moving on to question 20a. Okay, I will actually do my function that was inside of it first. Okay, f6 means 2 to the power of 6 minus 3. That would get us 2 to the power of 3 lah. Okay, and then repeat the same thing again. Now putting this 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2, 4. It will be 8. Okay, and then putting f8 into the same thing again. So you have 8 minus 3, you get 2, 5. Okay, 2 to the power of 5 would results in 16. 32. Okay, so that's how you get your 20A here. Moving on to the next part, we have B. Okay, so please take note. Okay, this question didn't appear for quite some time. If there's G inverse multiplied with G, kindly take note that there's nothing you have to do. Okay, just write your final answer as the values inside the brackets. Okay, so this will be it. That's all. So to further clarify this, if let's say I have H inverse multiplied with H, inside I have X squared, my answer for this will be X squared only. Whenever there's inverse and the original function multiplied together, okay, or on top of each other, then it's automatically cancelled. You don't have to do anything. Moving on to last part, at C here, we have fx, okay, fx is 2 to the power of x minus 3, and then they gave us h is 84. which means 5 over 84 minus 4. So 2x minus 3 equals to 5 over 80. So 5 over 80 is about 1 over 16. Okay. So if you wanted to speed up the process, you can use logarithms. Okay. If you don't want to, you can make it into 2 to the power of negative 4 first. Okay, I can double check. Okay, it's correct. So you just take up the power now. You have x minus 3 equals to negative 4. So your x final answer will be negative 4 plus 3, which is negative 1. So that's how you secure your marks for 20C here. Going forward, we are at question 21. Okay. I will have to expand the 1 with square first. Okay, and then I will leave the 2x plus 5 alone. So the correct steps goes by this, and then 2x plus 5. Through your multiplication process, okay, I remember the formula, that's why I can skip the steps here. It goes by x squared minus 6x plus 9. Okay, if you didn't do this, you will get x squared minus 3x plus 9. The same thing, I just skip 1 steps only. Okay, repeat the same thing again. This time around, taking x squared multiply with the respective value. So this time around, I won't skip it. I will show you the full results here. Okay, then the next thing is to multiply your negative 6x with 2x and then negative 6x with 5. You will get negative 12x here, and then you will get negative 30x. Then the last thing that we have here will be by multiplying our 9 to 2 and 9 to 5. You will have 18x and then 45. So through this, you can calculate like the results. You get 2x cubed plus 5x squared. Okay, minus 12 minus 30 plus 18. Okay, we get it as negative 24x and then plus 45. And that's it. Okay, that's how you calculate everything in details. Okay. Oh, hold on. I missed out on one thing. It should be 12 square here. Then this results will becomes minus 7. Okay, luckily I noticed it. And then for the one at the back, it will becomes minus 12. Okay, that's all. Okay, so be careful when you run the calculation. Don't make similar mistake like what I did here. Okay, final part. We're almost done. So first thing first, you will be able to throw the 2 to the back. So you have negative 2 here. So sine x equals to negative 2 over 7. So before you even proceed with your calculation, okay, a few things to take note. This here is negative. So in our quadrant part, for sine to be negative, it will appear at the third and fourth quadrant. So we might have 2 answers here. Okay, one is all the way from here and one is all the way from here. So when we key in, having this expectation in mind, when we key in the results, we'll be able to analyze it more accurately. So they gave us the results as negative 16.6. Kindly take note, this is not acceptable, and you guys never learned this. Okay, this is totally out of range. Okay, so to get to your answers, okay, what this negative 16.6 tells us was that it is the value for this particular part. Okay, you just write down 16.6 will do. Ignore the negative there. So to get to your first answer, it is by taking 360 minus 16.6. And the other answers will be reflecting this 16.6 to here. Means that it exceeded 180 by another 16.6. So from this, you run your calculation, you will get your answers as 2343.4 and 180 plus 16.6. It will be 196.6. So that's the 2 answers that we involved here. Okay. If you're unfamiliar with quadrant topic, I will put a link in I don't know which corner. Okay, just click on it. I have explained the entire topic throughout. Okay, I hope you find that helpful as well. Okay, because if you are watching this, it means you are rushing for your finals preparation. Okay, so we are at the last question now. We are at question 23. Okay, things to take note was that I can take out 3 and y from the first two values here. So I have x and 12 as the balance, I suppose. And for the one at the back, I can take out -5. And I would have this as the balance as well. Denominator, however, I can first take out a 2. So I have x squared minus 144. Okay, so since the numerator is repeating with this, you can now reorganize the results as 3y minus 5 and x plus 12 first. As for the denominator, you can then break it down into x squared minus 12 squared. Okay, double check. Okay, correct. So this 12 squared here, okay, this is actually your a squared minus b squared formula. So you can split it up, get 3y minus 5, x plus 12, 2x plus 12, x minus 12, then you get your answers here. The things that is repeating, you can cross them off. So the results that I will write as my final answer will be 3y minus 5 with 2x minus 12 at the denominator. So that's how you get this question 23 sorted out. Okay, so this is our final answer for this entire paper. So parts that I might find a little bit challenging will be okay, let me look through it first. So some of you might struggle at question 12 and 13, okay, because of the complicated sequence part from sequence C, and also some of you might not be able to understand what the 13b there was trying to tell you. Okay, this might be the part that you might lose mark. 14b as well, this is something new. Okay, but if you did draw it out, you should know it looks exactly the same. That's why you can mention that tangent line, okay, the lines that they form will be equals to each other. Okay, other than this will be this 16b as well. Okay, 16b is by far the weirdest way they phrase the question. Okay, you have to read it a while, okay, like what I did just now, then only I'm able to identify what they were asking. The rest is pretty much the same. So that's pretty much it for this particular paper. So if you find this video helpful, feel free to share it to your friends that are struggling. Okay, I wish you all the best in your upcoming examination. Okay, if you need to attend my tuition lessons, okay, details is in the description box. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Bye bye, see you.